Welcome to the Ugly Bug Podcast, a production of the Ugly Bug Fly Shop and Crazy Rainbow Fly Fishing.
Welcome to the Ugly Bug Podcast. Today I sit down with Braden Miller, owner and operator of Miller Time Flies. Braden's a youth ambassador for TFO and an ambassador for Norvise. I think you're really going to enjoy today's episode. Let's step away real quick for a word from our sponsor.
The Ugly Bug Podcast is proudly sponsored by Flyoming, Wyoming-rooted fly fishing apparel and accessories challenging the traditional mold, designed by anglers for anglers.
Braden, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man.
Look forward to it.
Yeah. You've been busy on show circuit.
Yes, sir. I have just traveling around and traveling with Norvise and tying in their booth and helping sell the product. Just a good group of people who run the company. They're kind of like family now. I've been knowing them for a couple of years. Heck, since I think one of the first Virginia shows I went to, and just been tying all across the country with them, and yeah, just helping out.
Cool. So what shows have you done so far, and where's the next venue you're off to from here?
So far this year, I've done the Virginia show, here, local to me, probably about like 15 minutes away. So not bad at all. Done the Atlanta show down in Georgia, and then I got, the Edison show and also the Denver, Colorado show, under my belt so far this year. And then we got, California coming up, leave tomorrow for that. And, what was I about to say? I think it's Lancaster and PA is the order it goes in next. Or Lancaster, Michigan, my bad. Other than that, there may be a few smaller things I might do, but nothing I can remember off the top of my head.
Yeah. Do you, those shows are always interesting because, there's a big push, but it seems like by, Sundays, it's kind of dragging on a little bit. You're a little exhausted of answering the same 3,000 questions every weekend, right?
Oh, no doubt. Yes, sir. Especially the 3-day shows. Friday, you're pumped, should have started seeing everybody again from either the last show or whether it's first show of the season, everybody's stoked. Second day, Saturday, everything's going good. I mean, typically you have a lot of people in the venue, whatnot, and, people that are willing to pay, spend some money. But yeah, Sunday is just, it can be a bit of a drag,
yeah,
to say the least. But I mean, there's nothing better than sales on Sundays, whether you have to work for it or not. But sometimes it's a grind.
Yeah, for sure. So you're primarily sitting in the Norvise booth. Are you? Is there any other tires with you, or is it just kind of you and the guys running Norvise? So
typically it's the owners, Tim O'Neill, Michelle O'Neill, and I. Be Tim and I tying, and then my mom will also come with us. She's a sales rep, and also helps out the shows and helps with the sales, and also demonstrating and talking people through the product. Also helping out the Temple Fork Outfitters booth throughout the day, just whether it's a break, I get some time to walk around, I can go help, whether it's help people cast rods or talk about the rods, and just kind of help people understand certain rods throughout the different series better. But yeah, helping out the shows and working for Norvise there.
How many different models does Norvise have now?
So there's a few different versions of it. Technically it's all the same model, but just different generations and whatnot. I think we're on the 5th generation now. All the vices are stemmed off of the original, just the standard Norvise, whether it's the black and brass or the black and stainless Legacy series. Sorry, I'm saying so much. I just
no, you're
don't
good.
know why. The colors, everything's just cosmetic. The internals, it's all the same. Everything is just kind of tightened up. And the new generations, like the 5th generation, is a lot tighter and spins a lot nicer compared to the 2nd and 1st and 3rd generation. Just more refined. you got the newer hubs, the Magnum hubs, just more mass material to them, so it helps spin easier. But mainly everything's just kind of cosmetic wise, and certain things help. But I mean, of course, it's color. It's not gonna affect your tying by any means. But the toolbar and all, the light, different clamps, so they don't score your actual vise or thread posts. It's nice add-ons like I said, the Magnum hubs just make tying a little bit nicer in the long run.
Yeah, they're super slick systems, right? It's a little, I would say, it's a little more delayed to kind of hit Wyoming, right? But in the last couple of years, it's like more and more popping up, and including myself, I use it quite often. And
awesome!
Yeah, it's an awesome product, and it's a weird one when you start using, like, it makes some things so much more simplistic in a sense, or so much quicker, right? That you're like,
yes, sir.
Why wasn't I ever operating this way prior, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And like you said about like Wyoming, just kind of growing in more Norvices. I mean, there's certain parts of the country, like, the West Coast is actually where it originated from. So that's a big area for Norvice. The East Coast is a pretty big span for Norvice. Florida, and that, I would say probably that Georgia to Florida area, there's less, seems more other vice companies taking over that. But at least from Virginia up to like the Northeast areas, like striper guys and tuna guys and whatnot, albacore. It's even North Carolina. It's got a couple good little groups of people that tie on them. But working more on that, I guess say like Midwest area around like Colorado and Wyoming and whatnot. But there's certainly some out there.
Yeah. What you're primarily tying big stuff, articulated junk, right? What do you what do you think are the biggest advantages for you and really in your style of tying streamers?
So for my style, as far as streamers go, most of my stuff is typically like the game changer style stuff. Multiple shanks, maybe multiple hooks. A lot of times, lots of brushes or hen saddles or schlopping, whatnot. Lots of wrapping. As far as that goes, like, I mean, you can see with this one here, I mean, it's all brushes throughout the whole thing, 9 different shanks. The head's a brush or dubbing loop, whatever you wanted to do. But it makes my tying faster instead of the hand over hand wrapping. I can actually, tie in the brush, lock in my thread with a half hitch, run my thread over the thread post, and then I can wind the brush up super quick up the shank, however far I need. As far as trimming goes, most of this, especially this style here, it's hard to see a little bit, but there you go.
Yeah,
but like more straight cuts on it, where instead of like that kind of tapered cut, just how it's easier to taper this specific style. I can hold my scissors at a certain angle and continue spinning the vise, so it makes my trimming styles a lot faster. As far as that, like I said, just wrapping the brushes, hen saddles, schlopping heads, whatnot. It just makes my style of tying a whole lot quicker. And I'm never hand over hand wrapping, so the actual tension that I'm holding the or the angle I'm holding the brush at as I'm wrapping is never changing. So everything's the exact same as I was doing it the wrap before. So it's never, especially like if I'm doing orders and I want everything to look the same, like everything is how it should be.
Yeah. Are you, have you gotten over the backlog of orders? Are you accepting orders anymore? Is that are you too swamped?
I am accepting certain orders, depends on the size. Like if it's, especially game changers, stuff like this, like it's hard to do a dozen of these. Not only just tying and having the time to do it, but also just, I wouldn't say time to do it. I would say time to do it while show season's going on. I've a lot of time because I'm doing like a self-paced kind of schooling. But certain orders with certain flies, I mean, whatever you tell me, I kind of base it off of that. But just, it all depends. I mean, I accept certain ones.
Sure. I understand. Yeah, I understand. And I'm sure you're far enough into it now. Like, you're in a unique situation that, you're not running a little Etsy store or, selling a fly here or there, right? You're cranking them out, and there's an angle of when it becomes a business, it's got to make sense to be a business, right?
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah. So I assume, ordering product in bulk, making sure you have the product, which has probably been interesting for you through COVID, to make sure you can, trying to get the materials you need in order to fulfill an order. I'm sure that plays an angle in it as well, right?
That is probably the hardest part of all of it.
Yeah.
Just like all these are certain type of brush, so they're two different brushes. This is the hybrid style changer. I've got, this one has two different size brushes. So I've got 4 brushes in that entire fly, 4 different ones. I've got 6 different ones because there's 3 different sizes throughout this whole fly. Just trying to get the material at the time, and then if it feels bad when like the order takes forever to get out.
Right.
That's because I know they want them, and I know what they need to be done. I have everything but the material. And certain things like custom orders, like this one here, they wanted a specific color. This is part of a cobia order of hybrid changers, and they sent me a picture of the lure they throw at cobia, so I kind of had to run around, especially at the fly shows, is when I got these done, and track down materials to get certain things done, like the custom, gray back. This one's got multiple blended brushes in it itself, and each shank has actually got 3 on each shank. It's just, that's the hardest part, is getting the materials and getting them, when you need them.
Yeah.
I know where to get them. It's just they need to get them in.
Yeah, we're in the same boat in fly shops, right? And we supply a fair number of tires, and they want something specific, and it's like I've got 3 sources for it, and I'm trying. I want to make the sale to you, right? I'm in the same situation you are. I want to sell them as quick as I can. It's just I can't get it. Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's tough. But it seems to be getting slightly better. Are you finding the same thing? Yeah.
Especially not only just the actual dealers themselves, but fly shops or whatnot, or even my local store near me having it, or some guys at shows. But sometimes I can call around and have somebody bring some stuff to a show and get some stuff done for them.
Yeah.
But
very cool. So let's walk it way back. I'm sure a bunch of people are interested in, like, how'd you get started? How are you where you're at now? I mean, obviously there's, you're damn good at what you do, and that's led to it, and a little good fortune probably, plays a way along the way, but let's,
a lot of luck and good timing.
Yeah. So let's start at the beginning. Kind of how did you get involved in the industry, or how did you come about, getting your name out there?
Well, I actually started tying before I even fly fished, for probably 2 years, 3 years before I even fished with a fly rod. I've always fished. I've fished since I could walk, going around ponds, bluegill fishing, bass fishing, catfish, just, the general standard stuff. But my local show, like I said, I got the Virginia show. It's probably 15, 20 minutes away from me. So it was really easy to just pop on by when I actually started getting interested in it. I never went to it before until I started, getting into fly tying and all. But probably I started tying when I was 8, 17 now. So it's been about 9 years. But I want to... Yeah, I got my first tying kit when I was 8, started tying all the way, the whole kit, Woolly Bugger, Adams, just so on. Finished the whole kit, ran out of materials, the standard Thompson ballet vice. Tied so many flies on that thing, I ended up breaking it, got another one, broke that one. Ended up later, while going to the Virginia show, throughout the years, I probably went for 5 years before I started. No, I wouldn't say 5 years, probably about 4 years before I started, like getting introduced to certain people like Tim O'Neill, owner of Vice, people at TFO and whatnot. I can't recall the exact year right off the top of my head, but when I met everybody, I think it was 2017, maybe 2018, but I'm pretty sure it's 2017. But walking around, I got all my, once I finished the whole box, of, woolly buggers and Adams and all that. Went to Instagram, Facebook, Safari, and Google, just going through everything, looking at different patterns. And what caught my eye mostly was big streamers, seeing people catching all these giant fish, big browns, muskie, big largemouth stripers, you name it. And they've all got big flies in their mouth. And that's what kind of drew me more towards, this style of tying, where I'm tying now and fishing mostly now. It's what I like to fish. It's what I like to tie. It's what I like to tie as soon as I started, dabbling with it way back. But, going to the Virginia show, got my full fly box, walking around, going to the different vendors and just showing them, like ask them, what can I do better? Talking to Lefty Cray at the TFO booth, spend like an hour and a half, 2 hours sitting in the booth talking to him, going through my flies and all. Like at first it was 25, 30 minutes at a table or booth asking people for advice and whatnot. Enrico Puglisi, when he used to come to our local show. And then also Norvice, like I said. And then just, that kind of helped my tying, just tell me straight up, what am I doing wrong, and then eventually I went to the Virginia show. Like I said, I can't recall the exact year, but showed my box to Tim O'Neill and Tyler O'Neill and everybody at the Norvice booth. At the time, it was O'Neill's Fly Fishing. There were a rep for Norvice because Tim's been helping Norvice for quite some time now, like machining everything and assembling and all. But he did all the East Coast shows. That's how I met them. And then I actually started tying in their booth that day. So I started tying and just going through whatever materials they had and tying streamers up and all. And then somebody by the name of Alex Colonna, he's a good friend of mine now, actually came up to the booth and asked if he could do like an Instagram Live for me, kind of interview style for Temple Fork Outfitters. And that's how I met, Alex Colonna, like I said, good friend now. And then as I was tying, he asked me what rods I throw for all the bigger streamers and whatnot. At the time, I'm pretty sure I said like a 7-weight BVK or something like that. Rod they don't even make anymore, phased out probably a few years ago. But I was asked who a certain person was back in the crowd, and it was Rick Pope, the founder of TFO, and that's kind of how perfect timing, perfect scenario, and just evolved into meeting everybody there. So whenever the TFO booth, cast a few rods, met really good friend to me now, and like I would say my mentor, and kind of feels like family now. Jake Jordan, North Carolina, he's a worldwide guy traveling around from North Carolina to Costa Rica, Guatemala, and all. Now I pop down to there and first mate with him when I can. But met TFO through them, met Norvice, and then went to the Edison show the next I think it was the next week or something like that, with Norvice tied in their booth again. Met a few more companies and whatnot, and that's kind of how the ball got rolling with where I'm at now. And just perfect timing really, and a lot of luck. I wouldn't be doing anything I'm doing now or where I'm at now without my mom or my dad, supporting me or traveling with me to all the shows or whatnot. So, yeah.
Awesome. Good on them.
A lot.
That's cool. Really cool. Really cool. What, so couple of goofball questions. Guess not necessarily goofball, but favorite species to chase, right? You get tomorrow off, you get to go out, weather's good enough to chase whatever you want. Where are you heading? What are you doing?
That's a tough question. Local to me, I would say, I don't know, I got a lot of favorites. Whatever, the last fish I caught, if it was, big or fun, whatever, that was my favorite at the time. I would say probably snakeheads or bowfin. Just the sight fishing and topwater eats and whatnot, and being able to fish a very different way than you would anything else in our area, other than redfish or whatnot, and flats, using flat skiffs and pulling platforms, pulling down grass flats or down creeks and fishing weed lines or whatnot, or fish gulping air. It's just everything from the how they eat, how they track a fly, just their whole attitude. they're cool fish.
So I'm sure a lot of our listeners are not all that informed on snakeheads and like some of the issues that snakeheads are, presenting in certain waterways and how aggressive they are. But are snakehead numbers continuing to increase, around your local area? Or are they flattened out a little bit?
So, sorry.
Yeah. You're
So
good.
to me, I have no problem with them personally. A lot of people I know in my area have no problem with them. I know originally it was, catch and kill, kill on site, whatever. Don't release them back to the waters. Most of my snakeheads, they all go back. I keep maybe 1 or 2 a year for food, just out of, if I'm people over, whatnot. You make little nuggets, they're great. But I love them. I haven't seen any actual damage to my waterways. The bass fishing, actually, if you look at the tournament numbers in our area and like the scientific research that's been done, the actual bass fishing has gotten better. The amount of ring perch and bluegill have gotten better. Just I'm not saying snakeheads have helped anything, but I'm just they haven't hurt anything. I know a lot of people still are hardcore on kill them all. I get it. Everybody has their own opinion. So as far as numbers wise, numbers just they're still growing, of course. Spawning and populating throughout our different tidal rivers and certain lakes in our area. But as far as that, I haven't seen them hurt anything really. And honestly, the thing that's been hurting our rivers the most have been the blue catfish that were introduced legally. So yeah.
Imagine that. That never happens.
Yeah.
It seems to always happen in every environment, right? Half the time,
pretty much
every waterway's got one of those stories, unfortunately. Yep.
Yeah, they're pretty out of control. And you can go to the James River and like a 30-pounder is like nobody even cares for it anymore. It's like, oh, if it's not 50 or above, it's a decent one,
Yeah. What equipment wise, when you get into snakeheads, what's your go-to equipment as far as rod? I'm assuming you're throwing bite tippet, steel leader stuff, or are you running heavy mono, or how do you do that?
Some people run different things. Myself and buddies of mine typically run the same style equipment and flies and leader wise, whatnot. I try to keep it as simple as possible. As far as like leader and tippet go, the rods, my favorite rod for all around snakehead fishing or even bowfin. Bowfin, same idea, sight fishing or whatnot. But 8-weight rod, 9-foot 8-weight with a heavy, like a large head floating line or an intermediate. If you're throwing topwaters, of course, you want a floating line. In our area of Virginia, being it gets so humid and hot in the summertime, especially around that like July time period, certain fly lines that are designed for hot climates and temperatures, for whether it's smallmouth or whatnot, or even standard bass tapers, just don't cut it as far as dealing with the conditions that even casting the certain flies that we throw. So I run a Scientific Anglers Tropical Titan 8-weight. It's a couple line size, like a line size or two, heavier head, launches the flies easily. 1-2 back casts. If you're doing any more than that, you're messing up. As far as flies go, Blaine's jerk changer. I throw a lot of game changers, throw a lot of topwater, simple like rabbit strip, kind of Rainey's Head diver flies with weed guards. Like I said, jerk changers, got standard feather changers. I try not to go longer than probably 5.5 inches. That's when you start getting a little big for certain fish. But you can still catch snakeheads up to 13 plus pounds on, little tiny flies. Had Timothy, the owner of Norvice, catch a 13-pounder on a simple, just rabbit strip diver fly, like tiny little thing. The big fish, they're not really, they're smart, but they won't turn down a meal when they're hungry, like a big brown trout. I mean, well, they're probably the spookiest of all the snakehead, but they'll come up when they eat a fly. It's like just suck down a top water. They almost make almost no dimple in the water at all. They're really, really stealthy fish. The little ones, though, I mean, they'll come in from 15 feet away, waking on top of water, blow a fly out the water. They're like looking around where it's at, throw back, fly hits the water, strip, and they freaking blow it out of the water again. They'll eat it like 5 times before they get hooked, and they just don't care. Then in certain ones, I mean, they can be the spookiest fish on the planet. They can also be the dumbest fish on the planet. I mean, one snakehead to another, they're all seem to be a little different. And you can kind of, depending on how they're reacting to fly and whatnot, tease them, make them eat, whether they're interested or not. And then as far as like I said, leaders go, I try to keep it simple. I typically start off with straight 30 pound. If they're a little spooky to that, 30 to 25. If it's a little spooky to that, 30 to 25 to 20, or just 25 to 20. And I have buddies of mine that just throw straight 20 pound. I run fluorocarbon. It doesn't seem to make a difference to me, even with throwing topwater flies for them. I know buddies of mine that like to throw monofilament. There's certain brands that have not like very low stretch monofilament. That's great. I just haven't had any issues with fluorocarbon for me, and it's just what I have. And then, like you were saying about bite leaders and whatnot, actually bowfin is what I would probably run that on. Scientific Anglers makes that nickel titanium 1x7 or 1x9 wire, but just generally, like, their teeth for snakeheads, they're not quite like a shark or a bowfin where they're all interlocking, like set in a jaw set. They're more like kind of staggered all over the place in the mouth. Like you'll have one here and just all over the place. But they're a fun fish to target. I have no problem with them. I mean, you just can't argue with awesome topwater eats or sight fishing. I mean, they're cool fish.
Yeah, hard to beat for sure. What's the next species on your list? Either one you haven't conquered yet, or the one you kind of dream about?
Yeah.
Any of them specific?
There's a lot on the bucket list, you know. As far as like not conquered yet. I don't know. As far as not conquered yet, like especially in my area, I'm not going to say sturgeon because you can't target them, though we do have them.
Can't target. Kind of like bull trout. You can't target, but, they're caught every now and then. It happens.
Can't control your bycatch, I guess,
Right.
What was I about to say? We got certain fish. I won't name the actual fish, but, the listeners are smart enough to figure it out. We got certain fish that'll migrate up from Florida to some of our waters here in Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe we'll see if we can get one of those at some point. So that's one of the top ones on the list, especially locally.
Have you had the chance to chase golden Dorado or do anything, of that nature as of yet?
Haven't been able to get out of the country for anything crazy yet. I would say golden Dorado, Arapaima, that's top of the list. Arapaima is definitely probably my number one, just because it's like a giant snakehead looking thing or a giant bowfin looking thing. They eat big flies. They're freaking huge. They're strong. Semi sight fishing kind of deal, but golden Dorado up in the smaller mountain streams where they're chasing all the bait fish up, that's one of the top ones on the list.
Yeah, sure. I actually stole your cardiac arrest a little bit and made a just an odd variation, just black and red on a SC17 tarpon hook. And it works well. The dragon tail to a Dorado's mouth doesn't hold up great at times, but it's sure is effective. So it awesome. Works. Yeah, it works.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's a cool bug. So when you're looking at like the future of where your company goes, or what you see coming down Obviously more shows and your business probably keeps growing, but, what do you kind of see coming up? Not that we can all forecast, but in an ideal setting, what do you see coming up over the next couple of years? Is the goal to have a fly tying company? Is it to get into guiding or fly shops, or don't have that quite nailed down?
It isn't technically dialed in yet. I wouldn't say have a full-on fly company or anything by any means, just because, tying, you can get burnt out by it quick, especially tying some of the stuff like that. Like, it's just repetitive, First mating down in North Carolina for false albacore, bull redfish, off and on throughout October or late September through October, November, even early December. I've kind of really liked that with going out, Jake Jordan helping him out, running the boat, tying the leaders, grab leader in the fish, everything, pictures, a lot of fun, even going out with a buddy of mine and helping him out with clients on his boat as well. I don't know. I like that a lot. Mm-hmm. Maybe guiding. I've always thought about guiding, so maybe move into that direction at some point. Fly tying for the future. I'll always tie flies, and I'm sure I'll sell them for at least a long time from now. But I don't see myself being able to just pump flies out all the time. Some dudes like, Rich Strawless and, what's his name? Guy down in Florida. I keep forgetting his name. Did the double deceiver and all that. Like, props to them because they can pump out tables full. Like, that's just that. That's their job. I get it, but, my job kind of too, it gets a little tough sometimes.
Gets really tough. I spent a couple of winters tying some little blue wing olive patterns and, fly shops out west, right? And selling them direct, and it's awesome. But you're like, I don't want to tie 400 dozen of a size 18 blue wing olive. Yeah. Like you burn out really quick. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't tie any trout flies, or I will, like, out of necessity for my box. I don't do a ton of trout fishing. I don't sell trout flies, like little tiny nips and all. I don't sell dries, anything. I just do streamers. It's what I know. It's what I do day in, day out. It's what I fish. They got any questions or any specific things, I've done just about anything streamer wise. I can do deer hair work. It's not like I do it a lot, but I can do it. It's what I like to tie. It's what I prefer to tie. So I try to stay away from all that, that's just what I've kind of, like I said, grown to, earlier on, and pretty much what I've stuck with, and it's good to me. So why not?
Yeah. Awesome. Well, where can people find you, learn more about you, social media accounts or your website?
So my Instagram is Miller Time Flies. My website is millertimeflies.com. Facebook is Braden Miller, BradenMiller. And that's my social media and my website. My website I haven't done a ton to in the past year. Just a lot of stuff with traveling and doing the shows with Norweiss and whatnot. It's kind of got put on the backlog, but as far as getting connected with me for whether it's flies or whatnot or questions, Instagram's been probably the best place to look for me. And then Facebook, if you send me a message, I don't go into Messenger a lot, so I'm not gonna lie, I just won't see it unless I open it the once every 5 months. So Instagram, if you really want to get a hold of me, I'll see it. If I don't see it within a few days, I'll see it at some point in my Messenger or request area. But
awesome,
that's mine.
Awesome. Will you ever get out Wyoming way here? We'd love to have you in the shop, and maybe talk you into doing a tying clinic or something like that. Get you out fishing. So awesome. We appreciate you much, and best of luck. Travel safe on your next show you're heading to, and hopefully we can do this again.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Awesome.
I appreciate it.
Thanks, Braden. Take care.
Yep, you too.
Thank you for listening to the Ugly Bug Podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing and leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you have questions or feedback, reach out to us via email at info@uglybugpodcast.com or leave a comment on our social networks.